Yeah, not quite 19 fingers there, Peter, but Luke chapter 19, it's in the first 10 verses, though. Use your 10 fingers for that. Well, we're going to talk about a man that some of you have probably already heard about, and I'm going to beat Peter to the punchline here. There's a song about it. Peter was teasing me about singing it to you boys and girls, and I said that wasn't for the whole world to hear. So when you get to junior church in a little bit, you can ask Pastor Josh to sing the song with you. But the name of a man who we think of according to the song as a wee little man. Well, as I was studying this story and thinking about it, and it's about Zacchaeus, if you haven't guessed yet. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. Now, Peter, do you think the people liked tax collectors? No, the people did not like tax collectors. When I was studying this story, it talked about how he was probably a pretty lonely man. The Bible does describe him as rich. But do you know, boys and girls, richness, money, doesn't bring happiness. Zacchaeus knew he was missing something. He knew there was something more to life that he didn't have that riches couldn't buy. Well, he had riches, and the Bible also tells us he was a man of position. In other words, he was high up. There were people who were under him. He had authority and power. There are a lot of people in this world who look for power to happiness. Well, Zacchaeus had possessions, he had the riches, he had power, but that still wasn't bringing him happiness. Well, Zacchaeus heard something. He heard the people muttering and mumbling and murmuring, and he heard, what were they saying? Jesus is coming? This man Jesus that he had heard so many things about. Peter, he was just so excited that Jesus was coming to Jericho where he lived. He's like, did you hear? He's so super excited. So Zacchaeus has this problem that some of us in the world also have, and this problem is, as the song says, he's a wee little man. Now, not quite this small, but most of you know I'm not all that tall, and Peter has a few inches by me here, but Peter and I aren't real tall either. Well, Peter's trying, and it's going to make me laugh, boys and girls. Zacchaeus was a short man, and he's thinking crowds of people. Lots and lots of people. Crowds. Yes, Peter?
Is Pastor Josh taller than Zacchaeus?
Peter asked if Pastor Josh is taller than Zacchaeus. Well, the Bible doesn't give us his height in feet or inches. I will tell you, Pastor Josh and I are the same height and have been for a long time. But we don't know. But when you're short, you have a hard time seeing over a crowd. You can see all the people back here, and Zacchaeus knows this, and the Bible actually uses the word for the press. In other words, there are going to be so many people pressed together, stuck in one spot, and Zacchaeus is thinking, I'm too short. I can't see over the people. Oh, what am I going to do? Guess I'll give up and stay home. Well, that would be a sad story if it stopped right there, wouldn't it, boys and girls? Zacchaeus doesn't stay home. He's a thinker. He's going to come up with a solution. He didn't get that money and power without some thinking. So he's thinking, now you boys and girls, when you want to see something up high, and you're outside, not inside, no climbing on kitchen counters and things, but you're outside, what is a way to get taller? I was recently with some kids, and we went to a forest, and they were all about it. You climb trees, right? Well, that's what Peter's right here. Peter and I were talking about how there were no trees in here for Peter to climb. But Zacchaeus, he hears that Jesus is coming and he runs ahead. Jesus just took a nosedive. All right, let's get Jesus back up here. He stuck to my finger when I tried to put him on there. So Jesus is coming. Zacchaeus runs ahead. He gets in front of the people. He's like, I've got to get up in that tree. He gets up in the tree so he can look down. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Zacchaeus is so excited, and he thinks, I've just got to see Jesus. I've just got to learn from Jesus and hear what he has to say. Well, Jesus comes, and he's preaching and teaching, and he's talking with the people, and he walks right on by, doesn't even notice Zacchaeus, and well, that's the end of the story. Yeah, Peter? No, boys and girls, I just making sure you're paying attention. I like to do that sometimes because to get the kids going, wait, what a minute? That's not how it says. That's right. Hopefully you have your Bibles there and you're following along, and you know that's not what happened. Well, Jesus looks up in the tree and he sees Zacchaeus, and he takes the time to talk to him. How many of you have ever had the experience where an adult was just too busy to talk to you, or maybe your friend was just too busy to talk to you? Well, Jesus, with all these people, wasn't too busy to talk to Zacchaeus. He took time out of the busyness to talk to Zacchaeus. Wow, when we think about who Jesus is, who God is, that he cares even about the wee little man, those of us who are short in stature, he cared even about him, that man who's up in a tree. Well, let's look in our Bibles for just a minute here. In verse 5, it says, "And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house." Okay, make haste. Your mom and dad probably don't tell you that in the morning, but they do probably tell you to hurry up. Okay, so Jesus is basically saying, Zacchaeus, hurry up, get down here, because I'm going to your house. Wait a minute. The man who sits at home lonely at night because people don't like him because he's the tax collector, Jesus is going there, Peter? Why would Jesus go there? I mean, Jesus is famous. Shouldn't Jesus be going to the palace or somewhere more important? No, boys and girls, Jesus was concerned about Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was searching. Zacchaeus knew he couldn't find happiness in his possessions. Zacchaeus knew he couldn't find happiness in his position, but he went to Jesus to find it. And Jesus knew that. Remember, Jesus knows all. We've talked about that before, Jesus being all-knowing. So he tells Zacchaeus, come down, I'm going to your house today. Wow, can you imagine that, boys and girls? Jesus coming to your house today? Do you know he does every single day? For those of us who are Christians, Jesus is with us. Jesus is all present. He's everywhere. But we don't often think about him being in our house with us. We don't often think about him hearing everything we say or seeing everything we do. Well, Zacchaeus, though, he is super excited that Jesus is coming over. He's going to have dinner at his house. Well, not everybody is excited that Jesus is going to see Zacchaeus. We've kind of had these troublemakers come up in our stories several times. The people weren't happy. They're like, he's a sinner. Why would you go with him, Jesus? Nobody likes him, Jesus. Why would you go be with him? And they're complaining. They're like over in the corner whispering, and you're kind of like, what are they talking about? Yeah, the people were upset that Jesus would go to Zacchaeus' house. But he does. Jesus goes there, and they have dinner at Zacchaeus' house. And Jesus spends time with Zacchaeus. It wasn't just a 2-minute conversation while Zacchaeus was in the tree. Jesus took the time to go to Zacchaeus' house. He stayed there. He had dinner with him. Verse 6, it says, and he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. In other words, Zacchaeus did just what Jesus said. He hurried out of that tree, got down, and he did it joyfully. He was happy. He was excited, boys and girls. Think of when you're going to have that special person come over, okay? Now, no one's as special as Jesus, but when you are just super excited that that friend is finally coming to your house. Verse 7, and when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. Boys and girls, is anyone perfect beside Jesus? No. Were those people who were complaining perfect? No, Peter and I aren't perfect, and Zacchaeus wasn't perfect, but these people kind of were proud, stuck up, we'd say, had their nose in the air, okay, proud. They didn't think they were as bad as Zacchaeus was, and they were looking down at Jesus for going to Zacchaeus' house. Verse 8, and Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. When Jesus was at Zacchaeus' house, he said, you know what, Jesus, I'm going to give half of what I have to the poor. Zacchaeus was changed. Zacchaeus wasn't the same man that he woke up being that morning, the same selfish man. Zacchaeus had changed. He was going to give to the poor. And then he said, you know what? I've done things wrong in the past. I've taken money that wasn't mine. And he's acknowledging that that was wrong. And he says, for everything that I took that was wrong, if I took $1, I'm going to give $4 back. He said, I'm going to give it back fourfold. I'm going to make this right. Zacchaeus was a changed man. So Jesus answers in verse 9, this day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. Verse 10, for the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Jesus came to seek and to save. Jesus came to look for those who were lost. Zacchaeus did his part. He showed up. He wanted to meet Jesus, and Jesus was there. Those who seek Jesus, Jesus will find you. Jesus wants you to be saved. Jesus wants you to be like Zacchaeus in the sense that when he received Jesus, he was different. He was excited that Jesus came to his house, but he wanted to make things right. He wanted to take care of the wrong that he had done, and Zacchaeus wanted to give to others. How about you, boys and girls? Is there something that you need to make right? Is there something you need to, maybe somebody you need to talk to and make things right? I was reminded of that at a funeral recently. When we're not right with people, we need to make it right. Or maybe you've taken something and you need to return it. Maybe you had a bit of an attitude with mom or dad this morning and you need to make that right. Whatever it is, boys and girls, Jesus wants to see you change, just like Zacchaeus did. And if you've never made that decision like Zacchaeus did to follow Jesus, you've never admitted you're a sinner, believed on Jesus, confessed your sins, why not do it today, boys and girls?